people who you spoke to a while ago just exited the building, but paint a picture of the place to us. Did he come alone? Did he come with a lawyer? We know that he's a lawyer himself, but usually when such invitations are sent out, people come with their lawyers. What's the atmosphere like?
It's a very calm atmosphere. Kenneth, as you know, when we got here, they prevented us from going inside the premises of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. In fact, Martin Kwebu himself came very calm. I'm told he came with some other lawyers, but we did not have the opportunity to see the persons that he came with. But clearly, he told us that he came here with some individuals who supported him or who are supporting his cause in relation to the, he doesn't want to call it interrogation, but what he's, been questioned on by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. So it's been quite calm. A lot of security officers are here, ensuring that the right persons are allowed inside the premises of the OSP.
There's a man on the ground at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Thank you very much. Now, a company linked to Strategic Mobilization Limited, SML, was awarded a contract by the Ghana Airports Company Limited for technical work it had little to no prior experience executing. 3 days before the December 7th election, the Ghana Airports Company Limited awarded a revenue assurance and auditing contract to Everex Logistics Limited, a mining company with no prior experience in performing this service. The investigative piece by Ajwa Adobia Owusu, Evans Aziamo Mensah, and Manasseh Awuni Azure uncovers how the deal was structured, the affiliations behind it, and the questions it raises about due diligence and procurement integrity at one of Ghana's most critical state institutions. This story is titled SML Disguised at Kotoka. Enjoy.
In December 2023, our investigation revealed that a company formed a month into the Akufo-Addo administration was handpicked for multiple government contracts under very murky circumstances. The company, Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, SML, was awarded contracts by the Ministry of Finance and the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, to perform the following so-called revenue assurance services: transaction audits at the ports, external price verification at the ports, downstream petroleum products measurement audit, upstream petroleum audits, and revenue assurance in the mining sector.
They didn't have any experience before they started doing this work. There were experienced companies around. There was no bid.
The contracts were awarded under the single source procurement method, even after the Public Procurement Authority, PPA, denied approval for the use of the method on the basis that the newly formed SML lacked the capacity to perform these services. After paying hundreds of millions to SML, a KPMG report later revealed that the transaction audit and external price verification services were already being performed by the GRA. Those contracts were terminated after our investigation and the subsequent KPMG report ordered by the President. Our investigation, which occasioned the KPMG report, revealed that the downstream petroleum sector contracts to SML was needless. SML stated the following on its website.
The SML digitalization of downstream petroleum product measurement has turned the tide of underreporting, diversion and dilution of fuel products and general non-compliance in the petroleum industry sector.
Our investigation revealed that a company called Rock Africa had been contracted by the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, to curb the diversion of petroleum products. Another company, Nationwide Technologies Limited, was engaged to undertake fuel marking to curb dilution and detect smuggled petroleum products into the country. To tackle possible underdeclaration and other anomalies, the NPA and GRA deployed the Enterprise Relational Database Management System, ERDMS, which is also used to block non-compliant oil marketing companies from trading. The ERDMS is linked to the GRA's Revenue Management System, ICOMS, in order to track and tax volumes of petroleum products lifted. When we confronted SML about its false claims of checking under declaration, diversion and dilution, its managing director, Christian Tetesote, admitted that the company was not performing any of those services. SML deleted the false claims from its website. SML also claimed that in the first 2 years of its operation, the company saved Ghana about 3 billion cedis. When we confronted the managing director with evidence, he claimed the media, including the state-owned Daily Graphic, misreported SML.
I've told you that I'm not aware, because when we were told about the publication, we even called the...
As we speak this morning, still on your website.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In fact, to be honest, I don't even know website matter.
Despite the false claims about its operation and impact, which SML could not defend, the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, unilaterally instructed in 2023 that SML's monitoring services be expanded to the upstream oil production and gold mining sectors in Ghana. The expanded contract initiated by Ken Ofori-Atta entitled SML to more than $100 million every year for a period of 5 years, subject to another 5-year renewal.
The customs officials from GRA are the gold room, gold board officials are there, and the Chamber of Mines is also represented there. So there are enough checks and balances.
When we published our investigation into SML, President Akufo-Addo ordered KPMG to audit the SML contract. The KPMG report revealed that the contracts awarded to SML had breached multiple laws, including the PPA Act. GRA and SML had falsely claimed that the volumes of petroleum products only increased to 400 million liters per month after SML began its operation in June 2020. But KPMG's audit report found that
1. An average of 400 million liters per month was already being recorded in Ghana in 2019 and the first quarter of 2020 as per our review of the NPA data. 2. NPA and GRA recorded a significant decrease in lifting volumes in April 2020, that is 336 million liters and 311 million liters respectively, as a result of the COVID-19 lockdown spanning the period 1st to 20th April 2020. 3. Volumes recorded after April 2020 were constantly above 400 million liters. 4. In the latter half of 2020, when SML commenced operations, data comparison from 3 sources indicates that NPA reported higher annual volumes than both GRA and SML. Following NPA, GRA reported the next highest annual volumes, with SML recording the lowest annual volumes.
the KPMG audit also showed that SML was not responsible for the revenue increment in the downstream petroleum sector. In the heat of the 2024 presidential elections, candidate John Mahama of the opposition NDC served a strong notice that his government would discontinue the SML contract.
An NDC government under me will not accept or recognize this SML agreement. Whatever audit they do, I say we won't accept or respect any agreement with SML. And for the money that they've taken already, we will hold them to account for that money.
3 days to the 2024 election, however, a shady revenue assurance and auditing contract similar to that of the SML scandal was cooked at the Ghana Airports Company Limited, GACL. This contract, which appeared to be backdated, was awarded to Everex Logistics Limited, a mining and stevedoring company with no record of having ever performed the services. Our investigation revealed that this company is linked to SML. An email address on the website of Evertex, evertel@ghana.com, is the same email address on the website of Evans Timbers Limited, the parent company of SML. A search at the Office of the Registrar of Companies also revealed that the beneficial owner of SML, Evans Edusei, is also the beneficial owner of Evertex Logistics. the mining company awarded the auditing contract at the airport. In fact, Evans Eduse is both the CEO of SML and the CEO of Everex. The list of workers submitted by Everex to the Ghana Airports Company to execute the Everex contract contains the names of notable SML employees and managers. The SML head of engineering, Hamdan Abubakar, is named in the Everex list. SML's head of IT, Prince Sapon, is also on the list to perform the Everex contract. A former head of legal at the GRA, Philip Jude Mensah, now an SML employee, witnessed the Everex contract with the Ghana Airports Company. He is on the Everex list, together with a former commissioner of customs and now general manager of SML, Isaac Krensel. SML sneaked to the airport disguised as Everex.
Under our labor laws, an employee cannot be and take salaries from two companies.
You are better off going with a company that is mature, that is old, that you assume has capacity. But they couldn't because of the controversies around SML and how exposed the company was in the public eye. It clearly tells you that they themselves admit that they've been doing things wrong and they don't have even the confidence to go working or bidding with the same company. If they were really genuinely convinced that the work that they are doing is generating returns, I don't see why you would want to rather metamorphose into another company to go bid for another government project.
The managing director and board member of the Ghana Airports Company, Mrs. Yvonne Nana Efriye-Opare, said she did not know that SML and Everex had any links at the time of the contract. The board chairman of the GACL at the time of the contract, Paul Adomochiri, did not agree to a recorded interview. In a phone call, he remembered Everex only by its links to SML, referring to Everex as the SML people. Paul Adomochiri revealed that the CEO of SML, Evans Eduse, who he had identified through media reports, was present when Everex appeared before the GACL board for a presentation. When news of the SML scandal first broke, Paul Adomochiri admitted meeting SML's management.
When we heard the story yesterday, we dashed to their office there in Osu, not too far from us. And I sat down with them. Last night I was with them. And I said, you SML, are you the people who are duplicating and collecting money from government for nothing? Well, they laughed and said, okay, come in. I went in with my people. We sat down, opened the books. Let's see what is there. Then they showed us, okay, we were quite convinced and satisfied that what they are telling us is true. So we're going to share it with you.
A procurement expert, Kobina Atabedu, has revealed that Everex and SML should not qualify for any audit and revenue assurance contracts without licenses from the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. The Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana has confirmed that firms and individuals that perform auditing services must be licensed. Failure to do so violates the law, and offenders are liable to a fine, a prison sentence, or both. Though they perform auditing services for the state, SML and Everex have not been licensed, according to a right to information response we obtained from the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. The managing director of SML, Christian Tetesoti, is a former president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, the institution whose mandatory license SML failed to obtain.
So it means anybody who purports to or goes ahead to act in the public practice of accountancy and doesn't have the requisite licensing, as in a full member, or hasn't been issued a practice license, is supposed to either pay a fine or go to jail, or both.
A search at the Office of the Registrar of Companies also revealed that at the time of winning the contract at the airport, Everex did not have auditing and revenue assurance as part of its principal activities. Everex only included audit, revenue assurance, and software solutions in its principal activities 3 months after winning the airport contract, Everex has not responded to our request for comment. The managing director of the Ghana Airports Company, Yvonne Opari, said her organization awarded the contract to Everex because the airports company lacked internal capacity, such as personnel and time, to deliver the service. The airport company has 1,580 employees on its payroll. Information we obtained from the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, shows that Everex has only one worker. The information that Everex has only one worker was part of the document submitted to the GACL for the contract. So, the Ghana Airports Company awarded the contract to Everex knowing that Everex had only one employee. Everex, SML's sister company, also appeared to be dormant and was resurrected only for the airport's contract. A tax record revealed that the company had zero chargeable income for 2022, 2023 and 2024, the year it won the airport's contract. Everex paid no tax in 2022 and 2023. The tax clearance certificate it used for the airport's contract shows that it was charged a tax of only 2,000 cedis in 2024, out of which it paid 1,000 cedis.
If you want to conduct public procurement for government to spend his money on you, for you to make money, you must show yourself to be a good citizen, and a good citizen pays his taxes. Now, if you take that good citizen and for 2 years he hasn't paid any taxes, is he really a good citizen? Or what is the reason why he hasn't paid taxes? If he is dormant, why is he now resurrecting? If he's not dormant, why is it that he hasn't been paying taxes? That alone should raise a red flag and should cause you to want to set them aside.
The GACL also claimed that its contract with Everex was occasioned by an internal report that showed that companies handling cargo services for the Ghana Airports Company might be under-declaring revenues in the sector. The internal audit report that necessitated the Everex contract was submitted to the GACL in August 2024, but its board minutes revealed that the processes for the award of the Everex contract began in June 2024. So, a contract whose processes started in June 2024 could not have been necessitated by a report submitted in August 2024. The GACL board minutes also revealed that the company that did the presentation to the board for the contract was DevNest Systems and not Everex. The board instructed the contract to be awarded to DevNest based on the presentation and the capacity the company demonstrated. DevNest was however replaced with Everex when the GACL was writing to the PPA for approval to use the single source procurement method. Minutes from the board meetings and a letter from DevNest Systems to the GACL, which we obtained during our investigation, revealed that DevNest Systems appeared before the GACL board on 3 occasions. The last appearance was August 16, 2024, during which fees for the audit and revenue assurance services were agreed. From that day, however, DevNest Systems disappeared from all the processes for the award of the contract. Instead of DevNest, Everex was listed on the single source request to the PPA. The airports company also awarded the contract to Everex based on the presentation by DevNest to the board and the subsequent agreement the board reached with the same company. When we first contacted Paul Adomotri on the phone, he said he did not remember the circumstances under which Everex, instead of DevNest, was given the contract. Before he asked to refresh his memory and returned with the answer, he said if the 2 companies were subsidiaries, then there was nothing wrong. He, however, admitted that if the 2 companies were unrelated, then awarding the contract to Everex based on the presentation made by DevNest Systems was problematic. You can't have Company A come and do a presentation, then you award to unrelated Company B. If there's actually no relationship between the two companies, then there's a problem, Paul Adomotri said in a phone call. And that was what happened. Our checks indicate that Devnest Systems and Evertex are two distinct companies with separate shareholders and directors. In a response via WhatsApp after he had refreshed his memory on the matter, Paul Adomotri said, quote, "In response to your point 5, my consultation with documents from the board indicates that while Devnest did the first presentation, Evertex came in subsequently. Contrary to Paul Adomotri's claim, there is no mention of Evertex in the board minutes we requested and obtained regarding the contract. He, Paul Adomotri, chaired the meetings and signed the board minutes. When we pointed this out to him, he promised to respond the following day, July 28, 2025, but has since failed to do so. Contrary to his claim that he recognized the SML CEO during the board presentation, sources close to Evans Edusei say he did not appear at the board meeting. Paul Adomotri has also not responded to claims by some GACL officials that he masterminded the contract and called some officials to take some actions during the procurement process. The CEO of Devnest Systems, Albert Ejelaye, is listed as the manager for the auditing and revenue assurance contract being executed by Evertex, which shows that he is benefiting from the arrangement. A request for comment sent to him is yet to receive a response. Mrs. Yvonne Opare has said that per standard practice, firms wanting to do business with the airports company would first approach management with a proposal. If interested, management would then request a presentation or further engagement. Management would then write to the board it thinks the board should be involved. In the case of the Evertex contract, however, the process started at the board level. Multiple sources at the Ghana Airports Company said the board chairman, Paul Adomotri, brought Evertex. Mr. Adomotri would neither confirm nor deny this allegation, but said even if he brought them, it was not illegal. It was not surprising to hear that he brought Evertex to the airport because he had preached revenue assurance while defending SML.
There's been revenue assurance in all sectors, from Kojo Ban reduced time in the telecom sector. Almost every sector we have tried to do revenue assurance. That's what Suba was doing at the telecom center. Now the NCA has built facilities in NCA to be able to do that themselves, because a revenue assurance is always very, very important and it is necessary. Revenue assurance is necessary. I'm not so sure whether people who did the documentary didn't understand it, but revenue assurance occurs everywhere in the global world.
Apart from the board and management of the Ghana Airports Company, another institution complicit in the Evertex deal is the PPA. In the letter requesting approval for the single source procurement method, the GACL claimed that Evertex, quote, had a long and successful track record of carrying out similar assignments expeditiously, end of quote. This claim is not backed by any evidence, but the PPA granted the approval. The GACL letter did not even state a single reason why the contract should be awarded through single source procurement and not competitive tendering, but the PPA granted the approval without any question.
When it comes to the conduct of audit or revenue assurance, is this something that there isn't a suitable alternative? No, this doesn't pass. B says that where there is an urgent need for the goods or services, this one doesn't even come in, because there's nothing like there's an urgent need. The third one, where owing to a catastrophic event, there is an urgent need for goods, there is no catastrophic event here, so it is not even applicable.
The request letter to the PPA, signed by Yvonne Opare, also stated, quote, details in respect of the team composition, technical expertise and CVs of proposed team is in the attached profile, into bracket, Annex C, end of quote. The said Annex C did not contain the team compositions, technical expertise or CVs of the proposed team. The PPA did not raise any question but granted the approval. That Annex C was still blank even in the final contract between Everex and GACL because Mrs. Ivonopari said at the time of signing the contract, Everex had failed to submit the list of its team members for the contract. In fact, the snipped document attached to the request to the PPA clearly showed that Everex had only one worker. This should have raised questions about SML's sister company's competence, but the PPA failed to flag it, even in its due diligence, if it carried out any at all.
A tenderer in public procurement shall possess the necessary professional, technical, and environmental qualifications. Assuming whatever they are going to do has an environmental impact. So it's 2, financial resources. 3, equipment and physical facilities. 4, managerial capability, reliability, experience in the procurement objects. Now, experience here means you've done it before. So it is incumbent on Ghana airports to check the background of these people. Have they done it before? If they have, where?
A critical look at contract documents also suggests that the Everex contract may have been backdated. The PPA approval letter was dated December 2, 2024 and was received by the managing director of the airports company on December 3. She minuted the letter to the director of procurement on December 11 with the instruction to, quote, proceed with the award letter. That instruction was received by the director of procurement on December 12 and the award letter was written and given to the managing director to sign. However, the letter that was prepared based on the December 11 instruction was dated December 5. Also, the contract that was signed after the December 11 instructions was dated December 4.
At what point did the procurement office, based on the approval, now start the process? So it presupposes that everything should have happened after the 12th.
The managing director, Ivonopari, says the dates could be a mistake, but there is evidence that appointments and contracts signed after an election often face serious scrutiny when a new party wins the election. By December 11, when the managing director minuted the PPA approval to the procurement director, the opposition NDC had won the election and a new government was likely to raise questions about contracts awarded after the election.
This conversation about revenue assurance was so topical. Everybody was discussing it. We're worried about, 22 million plus every month going into pockets for no work done. And then they metamorphose into another company. Whilst we were debating the issue, they go to another state agency to go and milk it, essentially. It was quite brave on the side of the company, bizarre on the part of the contracting party, the Ghana Airport Company, and very shameful for the government itself.
According to the contract, Everex is entitled to 15% of revenues it uncovers in its auditing. This arrangement appears reasonable until one encounters the details. In the Everex technical proposal, which the GACL accepted, the 15% is to be charged on any additional revenue beyond the benchmark value. Everex calculated the benchmark value by taking the 2022 monthly average revenue from the cargo handling department of the airport, which was $781,000. This means that Everex could be sharing revenue from cargo at the airport even without doing any work because, without any intervention, some months will record more traffic and revenue could soar above the 2022 benchmark value. The Ghana Airports Company claims the contract to Everex was preempted by its internal audit report that raised the possibility of underdeclaration of revenue by the companies handling cargo at the airport. According to that report, the GACL had failed to connect its systems to those of the companies handling the cargo at the airport. GACL's own audit report highlighted this on page 2 of the report.
GACL, however, needs to improve on its monitoring processes by installing accounting systems in which all relevant data will be recorded and transmitted via computer link-up to that of the operators as stipulated in Clause 5.3.4 in the Ground Handling and Cargo Warehouse Agreement.
Instead of installing the accounting system as stipulated in its contract, the GACL chose to award another contract to SML's sister company, Everex, which had only one worker and had no track record of undertaking the service anywhere else.
The question is, what level of due diligence did the PPA conduct before they granted it? Because this is their act, this is their law. They have set the regulation.
Regarding the SML scandal, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, has arrested several state and private officials implicated in the scandal. Former Finance Minister Ken Oforiatta has also been declared wanted, together with his aide, Ernest Akwari. The OSP has also started an investigation into the Everex deal. We also cited a letter signed by GACL notifying Everex of the termination of its contract. Dated July 28, 2025, this letter was written more than a month after we notified GACL of our investigation. Evans Aziamo Mensah, Ajua Adobia Owusu, and Manasseh Azure Awuni's report.
And that was SML disguised at Kotoka. Revenue Assurance Services have become a major source of concern in Ghana over the years. From Suba Info Solutions, Kelly, GVG to SML, critics say the remedy which the Revenue Assurance Services promise is often worse than disease they claim to cure. That was the documentary by Ajua Adobia Owusu, Evans Aziamo Mensah, and Manasseh Azure Awuni. And Manasseh Azure Awuni, who is one of the producers of this documentary that you just watched, is joining us on Zoom with more. Manasseh, grateful for your time and good job on that documentary that we just watched. The documentary questions the capacity of Everex to deliver on the contract, even though the airport company limited got PPA's approval to engage the company. Can you explain more about this?
Joy News, you are muted. I cannot hear you.
You're loud and clear. I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Hello.
Hello, Manasseh.
Yes, you were muted, so I couldn't hear you. Sorry, if you could repeat the question again.
Right.
Once more.
I was trying to find out that your documentary that we just watched questions the capacity of Everex to deliver on the contract, even though the airport company limited got PPA's approval to engage the company. Can you explain more about this?
Yes, when it comes to the capacity, the company lacked it in a number of ways. One, to be able to do revenue assurance and auditing services. Company or an individual needs to be licensed by the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana. We wrote to the Institute, and the response we had was that SML and then Everex did not have that. The company had only one worker, and the reason, when we asked the Airports Company Limited, the reason they gave the contract out, they said that the airport company didn't have enough human resources. And then we realized that that company had over 1,500 employees.
Okay.
But this other company had only one worker. And then in the writings and their filings, that information was actually out there. but nobody questioned it. Besides, this is a mining and stevedoring company that had no experience whatsoever doing those services. So revenue assurance was even not part of the company's registration details. It only added revenue assurance after getting this contract. So if you look at it from personnel, qualification, and competencies, this company surely didn't have that.
And how does the link to Evertex raise questions really about this deal?
Well, Evertex is a sister company to SML, and then we know the record of SML. In fact, when Evertex got the contract and they were going to deliver it at the airport, the personnel deployed for the execution of that contract were workers of SML. And from our experience, SML got a similar deal at the ports downstream, and they didn't do a good job. Now know that the company and its people and some government officials are being prosecuted. And so finding SML virtually getting to the airport disguised as Evertex raised questions. If Evertex had the capacity to deliver, why would one company win a bid and another company would send staff there to go and deliver? And this company sending staff has a track record of not actually delivering.
Manasseh, I want you to take us through the processes which suggest that there were some under-dealings really with this contract that was signed by Evertex.
Yes, the Ghana Airport Company Limited, I spoke to the MD and others, and they said that normally, if a company or individual wants to offer a service to the Ghana Airports Company, it comes through management. It would send a proposal, management would peruse it, ask questions, and if they find it necessary, and it is of such a nature that the board has to know, then management would take it to the board level. In this case, the managing director of the Ghana Airports Company Limited said the first time she heard about this deal was at a boardroom. So the question is, who brought this company to the boardroom? Then I asked Paul Adomotri, who said, well, even if he did, it wasn't out of order. And that was even not all the problem. We found out that a company called DevNest Systems was the one that did a presentation to the board, and the board negotiated the fees and said, go ahead and award this contract to DevNest to come and do the service. Then when the letter was going to PPA for approval, DevNest was not on the letter, but Evertex. So one company goes to do a presentation at the board with its competencies and experience, and then when it comes to the delivery or the award of the contract, another company goes to get that. So these are some of the things that look so murky when one looks at this contract.
Of course, your SML investigation caused a bombshell in the country. It's still causing. And now this fresh investigation report that you've done in collaboration with your colleagues. What next now with this documentary?
Well, the good thing is that I think we first published the online version on my Joe Online. And before, I think a week or so before the publication, we had engaged them. I actually knew that they were going to terminate the contract. The good thing is that no money has been paid. The company was supposed to have taken 15% of additional revenue that came, but the way they would calculate the additional revenue itself was problematic. But the good news is that no money had been paid before the contract was terminated. So I don't know what else the special prosecutor would do, because some persons were invited, including Paul Adomotri, and questioned. I don't know what proceeds from there. But on my side as a journalist, I think it is good that the state has not lost money as we have in the SML case. It is good that the contract is no longer on the table. We are only hoping that somebody wouldn't pass behind and then again award a similar problematic contract.
Had it not been your intervention with this investigative piece, in your estimation, how much really was going to be paid in this contract?
That is difficult to tell. They said that the cargo handling services or department made money every month.
Okay.
And so they took some past years, I think 2022 to 2023 or so, and then struck an average and said, look, any amount that goes beyond this, if you look at a technical proposal, that any additional revenue, they defined additional revenue as any money that goes beyond the benchmark. So if the average for a certain period is 10,000 cedis a month, whenever they get, let's say, 15,000 cedis, meaning the 5,000 cedis additional revenue, and this company will get 15%. But it doesn't really state how this company would contribute to that 15%. So just like the SML model, nobody is able to point out exactly what SML did to increase revenue or volumes, but it still receives money. So the payment is not very straightforward in this deal, but it is a percentage out of whatever would come in.
Manasseh Azure Awune is an investigative journalist. Glad he could join us this evening. Let's bring in more stories, because the EPA Eastern Regional Office has launched a major crackdown on the illegal manufacturing and sale of champagne machines in the region. The operation forms part of the authority's nationwide efforts to combat illegal mining. Speaking to the press, acting Eastern Regional Director Sidney Kweku-Danso warned that the EPA will deal firmly and decisively with anyone who continues to operate without the required EPA certification.
You've seen, about 3 weeks ago and 4 weeks ago, CEO Eka said, banning champagne. I know issue communique from EPA that we are no more entertaining champagne in Ghana. So as part of the enforcement, we decided to do a swap in Eastern region. And on say starting from Bonsu Junction, Eba, who champagne machine, ni washers, ni bebre, and a shop owners no. Most of them who say omu ni permit and sana omu ye juma. So getting to us, who say I have baby omu ye omu tatu galamse no pa. And I own who bring river no, so I say omu divert bebre. As part of the operation, they decided say by inside pardon who at least what they are doing, and you can see for yourself the degradation of the land itself plus the excavators that we are seeing. So we have decided say basically by 4. We've had 4 excavators today. Tomorrow we are going to intensify our numbers and ensure that those who are mining without permit illegally, we will clamp them down, because it is too much. The president has directed say remove issues of illegal mining, but it's like we the citizens are not prepared. So we EPA will do our enforcement and ensure say whatever we are supposed to do, we will do it, and we will enforce it to the letter.
From the Eastern region, let's head to Parliament now, because the majority on the House's Lands Committee is pushing for an amendment to the Minerals and Mining Act, Act 703, to empower the government to raise the 5% royalty cap in the Ewoya lithium deal. The existing law permits only a 5% royalty, forcing the Lands Ministry to renegotiate the originally proposed 10% under the current government. Addressing the press, Chairman of the Lands and Natural Resources Committee, Collins Dowda, explained why the then NDC minority rejected the previous arrangement in its entirety.
Present administration, Honorable Amakofi-Boa, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, has presented an agreement between the Republic of Ghana and Berari TPT Ghana Limited on lithium. In that agreement, in that agreement, government did not specify any percentage, but said that royalty will be paid as prescribed by law. What it means is that what is prescribed by law at the moment is 5%. Revenues generated from a 5% revenue, 5% royalty, and 10% royalty can never be the same. The preference is to have 10% or more. But the same condition that was raised in the previous regime arises. The law has to be amended. The law has to be amended. So, what it means is that this law, which is the current on royalties, Minerals and Mining Amendment Act 2010, Act 794, has to be amended to up the rate from 5% to whatever percentage the minister so wishes. Certainly, the amendment will end up in Parliament for Parliament to consider and pass. I can see, talking to many people in this country and also in Parliament, that the preferred number is 10. But we don't have the capacity to say it's 10%, 11%, or 12%. That lies with the minister. That has to be left with the minister. The committee has advertised the agreement seeking public opinion on the agreement. We enacted a law, and the agreement that was presented to us also derived its authority from Act 703. It was extremely difficult for us to pass an agreement which contained a provision which was at variance with the provision of the law. So we advised the minister then to take steps to amend the law in order that Ghana will benefit more by way of royalties.
Well, let's stay in Parliament and speak to James Avaji, who is there for us. James, glad you could join us this evening. There are a number of issues that the minority especially have been talking about, and one of the major ones is the developing story that we got a while ago that the IGP, Tete Nyohunu's contract has been extended by 2 years. He was due for retirement on the 27th of December 2025, which is barely a month from now. But we're hearing that there have been recommendations by the Police Council for an extension of 2 years, or by 2 years, of his contract to stay on as IGP. And we've been hearing reactions from the minority in Parliament. James, bring us up to speed.
Well, Ken, both sides of the House have been reacting to this. For instance, the minority, some members on the minority believe that this is actually unnecessary. I spoke to a former Defense Minister, Kofi Amankwa-Menu, who feels that this is unnecessary and will potentially breed some level of will bring morale within the Ghana Police Service down and will breed some sort of disaffection amongst the people who are supposed to be supporting the IGP to do his work. For instance, he said that there are a number of COPs lined up to take over from IGP Christian Tete Nyohunu, and all those COPs, as it stands, some are actually 58, some are 57, And they are hopeful that by the time the current IGP retires, they will be right to step in and take over that position in the Ghana Police Service. With what has just happened, some of those COPs would not just be happy with that. And he even went on further to say that it may lead to some of them sabotaging his work as an IGP. But the minority, on the other hand, thinks that this is constitutional, this is good. I spoke to a member of parliament for South Tongue, Honorable Maxwell Lukuto, who thinks that the argument about the bringing morale down amongst the police service is neither here nor there, because even they, the officers, know that the laws provide for a 2-year extension for 3 terms, which is 2 years for 3 times for any public office holder who attains a retirement age, but the president feels could continue his work. And he also thinks that indeed, if this is the case, the current minority or the previous government had also extended the mandate of some IGPs under their tenure. And so that argument from them especially do not hold water. He thinks that we need to give the IGP some more time to see what the president saw in him to extend his mandate by 2 years through the Ghana Police Council. And so the two sides, as you would expect, are divided over this. But the argument is not yet raised on the floor. We're waiting to see whether it will come up today or in subsequent days to see what other MPs also think.
And James, what else has been happening on the floor of Parliament today?
Well, Ken, apart from that, the debate has been ongoing. The health minister has also been giving some more explanation about the Mahama care and how they are planning to roll it out to get it running as soon as diseases that he believes, or some MPs believe, is on the rise in the country. Just gone by, the minority also held a press conference about the free sanitary pad for girls in the schools. They raised a concern about the amount that has been distributed so far. If you recall, in the 2024 budget, the government allocated some 292 million Ghana cedis to distribute free sanitary pads. The minority said per their checks, about 6.6 million pieces of sanitary pads have been distributed so far. They believe that that amounts to overpricing of the sanitary pads by some 3-fold. According to them, their checks on the open market put the price of sanitary pad at 15 cedis, but when they did a calculation of 66 million sanitary pads with 292 million Ghana cedis, it puts the price of a single sanitary pad at about 44 Ghana cedis. They want some answers from government. The health minister thankfully has been on the floor. He has been trying to give some explanation, but the minority will not take that. We expect the the education minister, I should say, Haruna Idrisi, to also be addressing the press to offer some more.
James Afeji is our resident correspondent in Parliament. Thank you very much. We'll take a break here. We'll be back with more.